Welcome to Arithmetic Fundamentals video on using the HP prime for whole numbers. We will be looking at the OneNote file Basic Math. Before we start with this page, let's take a look at the sections that we have over here. Getting started, whole numbers, fractions, decimals, dominant amounts, percentage, ratio, and proportions. These sections parallel the Silver Burdette Arithmetic Series complete book. One comment I should make is the book over here called it dominant amount. We called it dominant measurements because we did not know what the term dominant amount meant. For place value, we are looking at this chart. We read this number as 210,987,654,321 for the whole number part. The decimal part is trickier. We have to look at the last three in the decimal part. So the last three we will end with 100,000. So we will read this as 23,456 100,000s. Here is a link to a website that can help you with reading these, especially helpful for the decimal parts of the numbers. Let's do a little practice. 8,595, 56,197, 375,836, 8,932,420, 640,476,353,571, 175,920,473,819,411. Our calculator gives us a helpful way to enter these large numbers. It has an EEX button, which is enter exponent. When you press this button, you will get the letter E, and followed by the number 1 and 2 represents a trillion. E9 represents a billion, E6 represents a million, and E3 represents 1,000. You will probably not use the thousands version of this in everyday life. Our calculator can only display 12 digits. So when we enter this number into our calculator with this decimal notation here, it truncates it to these 12 digits. We take a look at these numbers being entered into our calculator. 1.75, 1.75 e to the third, 1.75 e to the sixth, 1.75 e to the ninth, and 1.75 e to the 12th. We notice that the only one that comes out the same as we entered is the last one with the 12th. Since our calculator again will only do 12 digits, it leaves it written in this e to the exponent notation. The other ones turn out to be 1.75, 1,750, 1,750,000, 1,750,000,000. We should point out at this point that our calculator is actually two calculators in one. We have the home view, which we will be using the majority of this tutorial, and we have the computer algebra system, which is used, like it says, for algebra and higher level math most of the time. The one really nice thing about the home system is it puts commas into our answer or whatever set for the default separators. Other countries use things besides commas. We need to enter all of our stuff both either in the home or the computer algebra system mode without commas. Here we are illustrating a fact that when we put 1.75 e to the 6, which is millions, and we put it in manually as 175 and then our zeros, it's a lot easier to enter it in this E notation than to keep track of the zeros. When we press enter, we notice that this comes out to be a 1. Here we wrote the same thing with e to the ninth, which when e to the ninth we were dealing with billions. Again, it's a lot harder to enter all these zeros to keep track of things, and we cannot use commas in the command line. The 1 that comes out is the Boolean for true. If this wasn't a true statement, it would come out to be 0 if it was a false statement. Is we don't press the equal sign like we do on a 4-function calculator. We enter instructions and then we press the enter key. We will be doing the same thing here in a minute for addition. We will put in numbers and we will press enter to get the answer. We start out with the clear calculator. What we did was we pressed the clear key. To press the clear key, we had to press the shift before we pressed the clear key. The first one here is 3,754 plus 2,363. So we'll just put in 3,754 with no commas, then our add sign, then our 2,363, and then we press enter, and we get the answer to be 6,117 like shown over here. Notice there's a comma in the result, and there's commas in the two numbers that we put in. The second problem is 8,471 add 8,374. We're going to stop right here so that you notice that there is no commas in our command line when we enter these numbers. But when we press enter, it will show our input with commas even though there was no commas. Commas are not allowed in the command line when we are doing addition of whole numbers. The display will again be written also with commas. We will stop at this point with our explanation of place value and addition. You will do the same procedure to enter the last two ones. We might comment on what happens here if we make a mistake in the command line and we want to clear it out. We press the escape key. Then to set up our calculator for the next section, we will want to clear out the history area, so we'll press shift clear. Now we are ready for our next section, which will be on subtraction. We have switched our page from place value to subtraction. The subtraction of regular numbers is just like addition. We enter the numbers without commas, press enter, get the answer with the commas, and with the result of the expression having commas. Let's take a look first at this chart that we got from the 1910 census. What we're doing in this chart is looking for females. This is the missing add-in problem because we're looking at what number plus a missing number is equal to this population. We're first going to have to deal with calculating the totals. So we have the totals over here in our calculator. We will press enter. When we press enter, we get this answer to be 91,972,266. We can see that this answer is the same answer we got before, but normally we don't have the luxury of comparing this to a previous work. So what we're going to do is take a look at all the numbers here and compare them to the numbers here to make sure that they are the same. Well, the last number is cut off. If you pick the selection and scroll it, you can check to see that the last item is correct. I have moved the cursor down to the command line and entered in the first column right here. And I have checked to make sure it's correct and came up with this value. Over here, I did this calculation at the end because I forgot to do it at the beginning. So it didn't really matter where I did the calculation. Now what I want to do is I want to take the total and subtract from it the male to get the female. So if I highlight this particular entry here and say copy, then if I say subtract, highlight this answer here and say copy and press enter, I get the answer that I'm looking for, that goes down here for the total number of females, which was the one question that we asked. And this is the answer I have written down here, 44,640,144. The other entries for the chart are done by subtracting the total, subtracting males from the total, which is shown up here. I won't go ahead and do that. We'll just take a look at these values that we got right here. To answer this particular question, we wanted this answer here for 18,000 or 18,900,663 minus 9,427,053. So we want this answer that's right up here for that particular one. This concludes the subtraction page. We have now selected the multiplication page. Let's clear out our calculator. So we need to clear it out. The first problems are just like addition and subtraction. We take our numbers, we put them in, and when we press enter, we get our answers with commas in the results. Rations per day for feeding a cow is given in column 3. This is a perfect place for us to use the calculator's list. The calculator uses braces and commas to put items into a list. Let's go ahead and do this first list on our calculator. So we're going to use shift and then the list in blue. We're going to put in 30, separate it by a comma, put in 16, comma, 6, comma, 1. Press enter. Therefore, we come up with our list. We're going to look at the sigma list function. Sigma means sum, so it's a way to sum up a list. On this page, we give directions for finding the sigma list function by using the catalog. There's an easier way to do it. So if we use the toolbox, we switch over to math, we go to list, we can see and scroll down, we can see that the sigma list is right here. So we press it and we come up with the function. Let's use the help function to look up how the sigma list works. Since we're blinking inside the parentheses, we can just press the help key. And this is what it says. It says when you put in a list, it's going to add the ones together. So there's some more advanced features, but we do not need these. So we'll hit OK. So right here, we need to copy this list down. So we'll highlight it, we'll copy, and we'll press enter. And we'll get the answer to be 53 like we have over here. The list is real handy. It allows us to do 4 calculations in one. We can take 15 times each item in the list. So let's go ahead and do that on our calculator. So we'll hit 15, then we'll hit our times, then we'll highlight our list, then we'll copy it down, then we'll press enter, and then we'll get the answers 450, 240, 90, and 15, which are the answers that would go in this particular column. Now we would like to total this up. So again, we'll go to our toolbox. We'll go to our list. We'll scroll down till we get sum list. Then we'll copy this list into our sum list function. And we'll press enter and end up with our answer 7095. Then the last function they ask us is this for 12 weeks. So we'll put in our 12. We'll take times. We'll copy this list down. And we'll press enter and get our answers to be 5,400, 2,880, 1,080, and 180, which is our answers to our question. So this concludes our multiplication page. We will conclude part 1 of our Algebra Fundamentals Whole Numbers with our division page. Let's clear out our calculator. Now we'll be ready to work through our problems on the page. Let's look at these first two problems in our calculator. 2,176, and we'll hit the divide sign, and 32. Notice it switched it over to a fraction, and it was a terminating answer of 68. The second problem is 16,555 divided by 43. Press enter, and we get the answer of 385. The two last problems had no remainders. They were terminating decimals. Now we need to look at problems where we do have a remainder. Our first problem is 5,378 divided by 89. The calculator gives us a decimal answer. We press the ABC button, switch it over to an improper fraction, press the button again, and switch it over to a mixed numeral. Because this fraction turns out to be 38 over 89, the remainder will be 38. So therefore we can write this answer as 60 remainder 38. When we're doing these problems in primary school or middle school, a lot of times the answer is asked for in this alternate form. If the answer in the mixed numeral, the denominator of the fraction part, turns out to be different than the divisor, we will have to use a function to come up with this alternate form. This last concept is demonstrated by this problem. 7,568 divided 1,000. We could have took a shortcut since we're dividing by 1,000 and just wrote this out direct. But let's press the ABC button, improper fraction, press it again, and we see that this is true. 125 is not the same as 1,000. So we'll need to use a function to work this problem. Let's find this function in the catalog. Press the toolbox, press the catalog, press the letter I, and we're looking for IQUOR. So we come down, ask for help, and this tells us integer 1 and integer 2 what it's going to give us. So it's going to give us the quotient and the remainder. So in this particular case, we want to put 7,568, put in a comma, put in 1,000, press enter. So the answer is going to be 7 with the remainder of 568, which is how we wrote it over here. Now let's work a problem out using division. I found a similar product in the Silver Burdette Arithmetic Complete book series, and I switched the numbers over so they made sense in today's world. So if 21 new packing plant workers working 8 hours a day earn $21,420 in 5 days, how much does each worker earn per week, earn per day, earn per hour? Hint, make use of the history soft area key, the copy command. So what we did is we put the number into our calculator, we divided by 21 to get the answer to be 1020. Then we took this number and copied it down, divided by 5 to get the answer to be 204. Then took this number, copied it down, divided by 8 to get 22.5. Let's clear out our calculator and do these calculations. 21,420 divided 21, enter. 1020, copy. Divide 5, enter. 204, 204, copy. Divide 8, enter. 25.5. So our answers would be 1020, 204, and 2550. This concludes our part 1 whole number algebra fundamental video.